All right, let's share. Um, Let me stop sharing and let's start. Um, the reason why we usually just start is because it's recording and people always get the recording. Most people either they're at work or once in another, but they always ask for the recording. So I want to officially welcome you today, and I want to welcome everyone joining us live and will be watching this. And this has been an interesting ride. Like we started this 9 weeks ago. Yeah, we started this 9 weeks ago, and we've gone from one reinvention topic to another in different areas of life. I was just reflecting today, and I thought that, man, we started this in faith, and I'm so humbled at the feedbacks, the lives that has been touched, by this program. And that gave me a perspective to obedience, to just say, it might just be because of one person, just say yes. And I particularly heard somebody, she was not even part of the live session. She actually went back she went back to check the replay, and she told me how she applied one of those things that we talked about in her business, and she saw a change within 2 weeks. And that was so satisfying for me. Let me greet you officially to say welcome. We've done reinvention and purpose. We've done reinvention and personal branding. We've done reinvention and writing your story. We've done reinvention and the digital age. We have done reinvention and family. We've done reinvention and the oil within. And today we're going to be doing reinvention and building wealth building. And because next week we're not going to have any guests on the episode. It's just going to be a compilation of all the episodes, and the lessons from there. And so that means that this is going to be like the official, uh, you know, invitation to any guest to come on this episode. And it's been so beautiful. I'm happy that that has to be you. Thank you. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And, I was reading your bio and I said, look, this person retired at the age of 40. I mean, that's so beautiful. I mean, that's so inspiring, to say the fact. And that's the life that I would want for many women, many of our women, especially in our community. That is that life that I would desire. I'm not saying people should not work, but when you retire, you are in your own terms, your own time. You get to focus on your purpose. You get to focus on more important things in your life that will make sense. You focus on building legacy and not just about the rat race. And that's the focus. That's where we are going. So, thank you so much, Omolola. I'm just gonna rush through you. I couldn't when I was reading your bio, I'm like, we can't have everything. Just like every of our speaker that has been here. When I see their bio, I'm like, I'll read this bio for the whole entire time. I'm so blessed to have you guys in my
Thank you.
circle. So I'm just gonna really quickly. Uh, all right. So Omolola Oye is gonna be a short version. I hope you don't mind. Omolola Oyewumi, Lola Wealth. I actually stored your name as Omolola Wealth on my phone. So
Okay.
widely celebrated as the fired up queen, is a global wealth empowerment voice for professionals and the visionary founder of Lola Wealth LLC and the Fired Up movement. Through her work, she helps professionals worldwide break free from paycheck dependence, diversify income streams, and design a life of financial purpose and freedom. A former Microsoft product manager turned wealth building strategist, Lola achieved what many only dream of, retiring from corporate America at 40. That is so beautiful. That is so, so beautiful. I'm just gonna cut it short that way. If you want to see our full bio, go on our page. You find it there. Yeah. So, Lola, welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank
And I want to
you.
welcome those joining us again one more time to say welcome. It's a joy to have you here today. Yeah. All right, so let's go to the conversation. I've been waiting for this, and I have my pen. I hope everybody has their pen to write something down because this is a moment of learning once again. So my first question will be, was there a turning point that made you decide, I want more than just comfort, I want freedom? What was that turning point that made you just say, look, this is it. I this is it. I'm doing this so time. I just don't want this again. I just want that freedom. Please tell us about it. Take us away.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope I'm projected
Yes,
enough.
you're
You can hear
yes,
me.
you
Okay,
are.
so
You're
I'll
loud
try
enough.
my best to speak better.
Yeah.
So once again, my name is Lola Wealth, the Fired Up Queen. I am the I am that wealth empowerment voice for
Yeah.
professionals. And I like to call myself, or I like to um, put myself in that way because we have so many people now talking about wealth empowerment, wealth building, and all of that,
Mm, right.
and what I bring to the table is helping professionals and aligning whatsoever their goal is into their purpose. We talk
Mm,
about redefining retirement in my
mm,
space, and what I bring to the table is helping you redefine that retirement. That's why I call myself that wealth empowerment voice, because that
mm,
is who I am. So and I thank God for the grace of God upon my life. And to the question you asked me, I'm going to answer it, but I want to share a bit about myself.
please.
Coming into transitioning, because now we talk about transitioning and wealth building. Anytime
Mm,
it comes to transitioning, it could be anything to anybody.
yeah.
It could be divorce. It could
Mm-hmm,
be really moving from one geographical place to another. And
mm-hmm,
my own story was that as well.
yeah.
I moved from Africa. I came to
Relocation.
US,
Yeah.
and trust me, when we do that, people that do that, right, we start all over again. There
Yeah.
is so
Right.
many uncertainty. There is so
Mm-hmm,
many fears. There is so many times you ask yourself, like, am I not making a mistake? In fact, on my own journey, when I
mm.
moved, I came in here. I have an 11-month-old baby
Wow.
and a 3-year-old and my
Wow.
husband back in Nigeria. I cried
Mm.
all the way from Lagos to Texas
Oh my
and the
God.
plane because it has never been, and this on the pursuit of purpose, on the pursuit of um looking for the greener pasture, right? Seeking
Mm,
after what God has called you to be,
right.
and that's my own journey. So I will say that transitioning in that sense for me, I was just like, okay, is this all it is to
Yeah.
life? I have my kids, I have all of that, and I have a degree to badge in front of me. I have
Mm,
my family, everybody's back home all by myself, starting all over again. So I would
mm,
say that that's the real definition of transitioning. Like, if you are not
mm,
strong enough, if you are not really deciding what now, wealth, and I'm going to get into it shortly. Wealth is choice, right?
mm,
It's choice. It's by
mm,
choice. You have to decide to be wealthy. You have to be intentional about what do I want to bring out of my life. And we're so
mm,
still going to get into the conversation around what true wealth really means, right? But
mm,
for me, I was able to define it as my own alignment with purpose,
mm,
alignment with what God has called me to be, alignment to be what God has said concerning me, right?
yeah.
So every decision, um every step I take, I always go back and check, like, God, am I walking in your purpose? Because that
mm,
will still help. That will, DDK always says something. I know we both know DDK. She always says something that it will be the disastrous
mm,
things to discover at the end of the day. By the time you climb and you discover that the ladder you're climbing is leaning on the wrong wall, right?
wow.
So that has
Mm,
always been my own moment where I check
mm,
over and over
mm,
again. But I would say
yeah.
a defining moment for me when so many things have gone in between when I came in into the US and the time I decided to say, you know what, I am going to retire at this age, or this is what wealth really means to me, and this is what I'm pursuing. Right. So I would say at that point when a few years onto before I turned 40, I started thinking about what a retirement is. And there are so many other things. In fact, I got into a new job, a new role, and I thought this is my dream job. This is my dream company. Working in Microsoft is a dream come true. It took me 1 year before I could do all the interview, do all of those, and then transition from one state to another, like moved literally. So I was just like, yes, I mean, what God has called me to, like, this is it. And everything looks perfect, good, everything is going on well. Until one day, and whatsoever, the culture of the company is great and all of that, but there was an misalignment in the team that I was and what I actually want. So every time I sit down, I'm like, okay, something is not right somewhere. I'm not just getting it. And there are so many moments, not even one particular moment I would say that, oh, this day I decided. But I think it was 2020 or 2021, the November, when I was preparing for another year, I'm doing my retreat. And I was just like, that word just came, and I was just like, God, I really want to, by the time I'm 40, I want to retire. But what does that look like? And we would go into the conversation about turning that decision into strategy for us, right? Because it's not just for us to just decide or to just want it or wish it and dream it and say, oh, right? But what will it mean in terms of where you are right now with your income or with your savings and investment to what will it be by the time there is no constant direct deposit anymore. There is no what are all those perks and all of those things that you have to decide by yourself to say, okay, I am the one writing my own check, right? There is a number, there is a gap in between that. So, and that is what I now turn into, okay, what do I really need? What do I need for me to like enjoy that lifestyle by the time I am no more in my 9 to 5? I am now by myself, or I want to retire, or I want to have this financial freedom at this so time. So it was about 2, 3 years before I clocked 40. And
Mm,
the event that happened is between what it was going on with the culture of not the culture, it was the politics going on in my place of work. And I was like, okay, I am going to start my own business. I am going to be on my own. I am going to do everything that needed to be done so that I
mm.
can, retire on my own terms. And I think I touched on what you were the answer you were looking for in that question.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. That's such a beautiful story. My next question will be that how did faith and personal values shape your decision, your wealth making decision, your faith and your personal value?
Well, it has always been uh my faith and everything, my values, my wealth, and all of that has always been in alignment with what God says. And there are so many places in the Bible, so many places in the scripture. I'm a person of faith, so you might see me 1 or 2 times, mentioning the scriptures because that is where I draw my own wisdom. There is so many, and I can't really quote exactly how many times the parables of Jesus was about wealth building, about investment, about savings, about money, right? Jesus Christ himself, whenever he speak about the parables, talk about parable of the talent, talk about parable of the virgin, talk about this parable and all of that. It's always around that God wants us to He wants us to multiply, even as good as long as Old Testament, the widow that is Elijah, Elisha. I always confuse that ran to the widow that went to the prophet and the prophet gave her the instruction about pouring the oil and all of that, right? And immediately she started. The man of God said, "Go and sell." You see, everywhere in the Bible is about profitability. It's about multiplication. It's about not just settling, right? So I would say that my own strategy, my own process, systems, and my ideas, mindset, everything had always come from Bible, from the scripture, right? And it aligns. I always say to people, clients, professionals, that when we print out your bank statement, I'll be able to say what you value most. When I print out that your credit card statement or your bank statement, right, it will reflect on what you value. Are you giving to the courses? Are you paying your tithe? Are you giving to people? Are you giving to, not even giving, but what is so dear to you in terms of, yeah, a family, friends, children, and all of that. So
What are
my
you
own
spending
is,
your money on?
say that again.
I said, what are you spending your money on?
Yes, absolutely. Faith is my financial compass. Let me just put it that way. My wealth decision have always been rooted in obedience, in purpose, and in stewardship because we're going to give account for every money that we earn, for every because it is God who give us the ability to make wealth. And we are stewarding it and we are going to give account. So every time we have it at the back of our mind that what we have, the wealth we have, is a still we are stewarding it and we are going to give account. Then it changes the game because the way you position yourself and the way you even spend that money, you spend it consciously because you know that we're going to give account. So that has always been what my own root or how it came, how it aligns, how my wealth aligns with my faith and my value.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. That's so, so powerful. Now, there are so many women that avoid money talk. Like when women hear about money, they just strip off. Like they feel like people think is a man thing and all that. Especially the fact that many of us women have made mistakes in the past, because of our decisions about money and all that. What will be your mindset? What mindset do you think women should have about money?
So there is not going to be a blanket statement, right? Because when it comes to mindset, it comes with our experiences, how we grew up, um what our experiences with money is, our own relationship with money is, right? For me, I would say growing up, I saw money as a survival, right? I saw money as a survival, not a strategy. So every time I think about money, since I was about 8, 9, I have been in entrepreneurship because of how I grew up. In fact, a short story about myself. I am the third child, and my mom decided to, have one more baby. And guess what? She has triplet, 3 boys. So which made us to be 6 children. And if you can remember Abacha's time, that time, right? It was really hard. My parents were teachers. And that survival skill, kicks in. Taking care of 3 boys at that time, it's not a joke, right? So the attention quickly shifted from me to my kids, to my brothers. And then, right, I was around 3, 4 years, I started fending for myself, like, whatsoever I want to do. So it quickly helped me to be independent. So by the time I'm 9, 10, I started going to market to buy stuff to resell, right? When I got into GSS, I started reselling things. I would do contribution, susu. I would do it for people and all of that. So you see, so for me, um, I would say that individuals' experiences will shape it. But every time we come to that realization about and the awareness about what's my money mindset, what story am I telling myself? then we can now realign ourselves like, okay, how can I reshape my mindset to something that is right, or to the thing that is, to the kind of thought I want to be having concerning money. So women not having enough conversation about money is not our fault. It's because of how we grew up, our experiences. Now, what we should now do right now is to for us to now start to have that conversation, be intentional about, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Because the reinvention itself started with with us, for us to stop chasing income, but for us to start designing impact. What impact do we want to have in our life, in the life of our children, in the life of our families, in the life of our in-laws, in the life of our friends, right? Let's design impact. So I started teaching professionals now to break free from paycheck dependence and to work in financial freedom in our own little way as women, right? And I know that we are making this conversation about women because everything that comes with everything around finances is it's complex a bit, I would say. Even when I was in corporate, and they were like, oh, it's time for enrollment. Come and do enrollment for HSAs. Come and do tax, whatever. Come and do retirement. Everything looks like puzzle, right? And I was like, okay, where do I start? And the same thing when once some women, once we start to talk about numbers, they are off. They cannot comprehend again, right? But how can we make this complex topic something that we'll talk about, right? And it comes from the place of empowerment. We ourselves, we have to have that decision because we have to lead from the front when it comes to our own finances.
Yeah.
Most men are great with this, but we ourselves, as women, we have to now come out with our mindset rewiring to say, yes, I want to lead from the front when it comes to my finances, right? Because it's personal finances. So, what I would say is women avoiding money talk is because, for one, the first thing is money talk is complex, right? And some of us, we are not, another thing is our experiences. So, we have to, whatsoever experience we have, right? We should not let that, hold us back, but rather to push us forward so that we have those conversations. If it is a good one, let's say that you are born with silver spoon, everything, you are a trust fund baby, and everything is going on well and all of that. Great, bring that to the table. Let's use that skill, right? And so that we can help other women, be more empowered to in terms of their financial competencies. And then uh, so the experiences, and then leading from the front, and then really honing that conversation when it comes to money talk. We want to be intentional about it so that we are not sidelined when opportunities are coming, when opportunities are showing face, when people are talking about, oh, this and that, AI, stock, there are micro stock, there are stick, this and that. We're like, okay, it's not my thing, but it's about me. And I was still going to talk about some things that we can start to do in terms of women, how we can always lead from the front when it comes to our own finances, right? Because we are the chief, just like yesterday, I know you are in that conversation as well, when Mama C was talking about we being the CEO, Chief Experience Officer of our own money,
Mm.
right? So that is where it comes from, that empowerment about I am leading from the front. This is my money. And of course, I'm not separating like my husband's money, my money. No. But when it comes to my own personal finances, I have to be the Chief Experience Officer or Chief Executive Officer. Thank you.
Hmm. That's so good. And that's why we are intentionally talking about money today. Like, it's that conversation that you just have to swallow the frog. You just have to swallow the frog and talk about it. And you know what? That brings me to the next question, that what is wealth? What does wealth truly mean beyond the money? Beyond money. We'll still talk about money itself, but I'd like us to touch that, to say, okay, beyond money, what is wealth? Wealth.
Oh my, don't let me enter into this. Like,
I know.
I love this because I always there are so many quotes that I quote like wealth is
Mm,
not spreadsheets, wealth is
yeah.
this, it's alignment, it's choice,
Mm,
it's all of
mm,
those things. And
right.
the definition of wealth is individual in let me say this, is based on individuals' perspective,
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
individuals' definition. That's the summary, first thing first,
You're right. Spot
right?
on. Mm-hmm.
Redefining wealth beyond money is really integrating your own faith, your
Mm,
value, your purpose, your
mm,
mindset. That is what
mm.
true wealth is.
Yeah.
Somebody here, Lady A, could be earning 1 million, right? And you think, this person is so successful. And Lady B could be earning 200,000 and she's
Mm,
wealthy,
mm-hmm.
right? Because it's
Yeah.
about the definition of what you give to wealth,
Mm,
what wealth means to you. And that is
mm,
a long and short definition of it. But I'm going to go into it, you know, uh, wealth is more than numbers, is more than
yeah.
what you have in the bank account, which I've already said, not because you are earning more. No,
Mm,
is the alignment with divine purpose. We walk God
mm,
and said that, okay, this is who you are, or this is what I called you to be, right? But the
mm,
true wealth is when your resources reflect the
mm.
relationship with God. I
Yeah.
mentioned the other time that if we print out your bank statement and we
Mm,
see all those line items, is we can quickly say that this is what you value most.
mm.
We can
You're right.
quickly say this is what is important to you because it
Mm,
will reflect. There is no
yeah.
way.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you are spending your money on. It will
Yeah.
reflect our own
Mm-hmm.
relationship with God, right?
Yeah.
It's going to quickly tell us this is what is important to us or not. So I will first of all want to summarize that. Like
Yeah.
it's more than talking about numbers in the bank. And good wealth is like, having huge money in the bank. That's wealth as well, right? But the true meaning of wealth is when somebody is like, when you align that your purpose with what you are earning, we call it
Mm-hmm.
money with meaning, right? I have
Yeah.
4 steps in the framework when it comes to Fired Up, and I'll touch on Fired Up, what Fired Up movement and what we are doing. But there are four
Mm,
frameworks in there in the Fired Up framework, which I talk about. The first thing is income diversification. The second
mm,
one is money mastery system. The third one
mm,
is wealth growth and protection, and the life
mm-hmm.
wealth and design. That life
Mm,
wealth, life and wealth design, is something that I talk about a lot. In fact, there is a book that is going to come out of that. It's called The
go on.
Bedazzled Life by Design. I love
Mm,
it. And you know where
mm.
we call where the Bedazzled Life.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
give back
Yeah.
credit to DDK because
Mm,
by the time I started to design my own bedazzled life, I was like, oh man, this is heaven on earth. You
mm.
have that compass for you
Yeah.
to direct your life in
Mm.
agreement with what God has said,
What
and
you
then to
said.
live that purpose. So it's called
Mm-hmm.
money with meaning, right? So
Mm,
every time
mm,
you think about it, like what is true wealth really means, it will take you, if you really want to do that exercise, it's a great exercise that I will encourage every woman to do, right?
yeah.
Go through that
Mm-hmm.
exercise, and I might mention it as well, right? And define what true wealth will mean to you. By the time
Mm,
you hit it, by the time you get to that destination, which there is no destination, remember,
yeah.
it's who you are becoming,
Yeah.
in that process. Because remember,
Mm,
a millionaire is a millionaire, but a millionaire is a true millionaire because of how
it's living
how he
his
was
life.
able to journey
Mm,
from
mm,
penny one, $1, $2, $10, $50, 1,000, 100. Do you understand? He's
mm-hmm.
becoming, by the time he become 250,000, he become a quarter million. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he
Mm-hmm.
become five, so it's a journey.
Mm,
Remember, so all of this thing is something that I love to talk about it because you have to come as a woman, you have to decide what that true wealth is. In fact, by the time you dream bigger, you decide to say, okay, let me share a short story with, and I hope it's not going to take time.
mm,
When I was working with Cummins, then in fact, okay, I had my baby by the time I finished my master's program. So then when I was going through, so at a point, and I shared my story for people that are just joining us, maybe you'll catch the replay. When I came in into the US, I left my kids and I came in to do my master's program, did my master's program. At the point, my husband brought in my kids, and I was pregnant in between, right? And then I had 2 kids, two little ones with pregnancy with masters, and I was navigating all of this myself, everything.
wow.
And I decided that no matter what, I'm not going to stop this program. In fact, that pregnancy
Mm,
was so complicated because the child is a girl. So I had two boys, and my third child is going to be a girl. So it's take a total turn, different, way on my body.
Direction.
You get, so there was complication. I was in and out of hospital and all of that. And I would determine that I'm going to finish this degree, which was my master's degree, right? And at the end of that, I got internship. I came back, and by the time I finished my program, I was graduating. I had my how many months old baby? Maybe 3 weeks, because I finished
Wow.
my exam with, like, I was writing my final exam with my one day or 2 day old baby. You see what I mean? So I decided to say, okay, I went back to work and I started working. So by the time I was working, I was, in a different state, and I decided to say, what will it take me? And then, because of the was it the stay and the filing process and all of that, I couldn't get a very good job that I decided that I want. And I
Mm,
decided to say, okay, what will it take me to even work in a place like Amazon? And that was my target. And I started
mm,
studying it. And I would go on their portal, go on their whatever, like, okay, what's the requirement? What's the advanced requirements? What's it called? Advanced qualification. No, all of those things. I was like, okay, I'll do this certification. I'll do this with my kids, with everything. I was doing everything because I decided to say, whatsoever it takes, I'm going to get to this Amazon. I will do interview back to back to back to back to back. But I never got it. But it was changing me, because I wanted to
mm,
change the story that I tell myself, that I am the woman for that job, that I can enter into that, right? After a while, I changed my strategy to say, okay, if I can't enter Amazon, what other company is in that range? And I make a list. I made a list of 5 companies, right? Which Microsoft was part of them. And I was like, okay, how do I enter? How do I do Visa? So Visa, Amazon, Google, and I think Netflix, some other companies like that. And that conversation went into, and I know I'm so sorry that this is taking long, right? But the question is
mm.
what the true wealth means to us, right?
Yeah.
So so I decided within myself to say that I want to enter into that, because I want to lead from the front. I want to lead my own personal finances,
Mm,
and whatsoever that it takes, right? And I did whatsoever it took me years, but trust me, I entered into it. And by the time I entered into it, I became a total different person. That when I look at
mm,
myself, I'm like, how was this transformation happen? So what do I
mm,
want to say is this, like, the true wealth is who you even become in that process of saying that,
mm,
and then aligning it with what God has said concerning you. So it's very
mm,
key that every time we always go back to, like, God, we go back to that check, like, God, am I still in check? Right? Because
mm,
and I'll quote the scripture here, third John 1, 3 John chapter 1 verse 2 says, Beloved, I wish you above all things that you may prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. Right?
mm.
As woman, we are not just prospering in our wealth. True wealth is
Mm.
the holistic wealth. And I know we
Holistic.
will get into it where we talk about the
Mm,
emotional, and
mhm.
I know there was some other question about
Yeah,
emotional
yeah,
and all those
yeah.
things. So, but that is what true wealth is. So I just want to round it up with that. Like, we prosper in our mind, we prosper in our
Mhm,
heart, we prosper with
mhm.
the work of our hands, we
Yeah,
prosper in our body, and we
yeah,
prosper with our
yeah,
finances.
yeah. Thank you so much. I think you've already started answering that question actually, because I really wanted us to touch it, right? That there's a different perspective about wealth and money making. I remember some months back, I was just having a conversation with God, and God said that you need to stop looking at money as something you need to make to enrich yourself, in the sense that you just want to say, okay, now I'm $1 million richer, or I'm $500 richer, something like that. That you need to start looking at wealth as something you need to do all around, looking at it from every perspective of your life. You understand? And I like what you mentioned about sitting down to design your bedazzled life, to say, what would my life look like, you know, if, in the next 10 years, what would I love? What would be my dream life? What would it look like? And designing it, writing it out to say, this is what it's going to look like. And I read a book. I'm sure you've seen that book. We should all be millionaires.
Uh-uh.
And you have it, right? Yeah.
I have it and I
I
have the
know,
workbook.
I know you have that book. And she said, look, there's something called $1 million decisions. There are
Mhm.
$1 million decisions. And if you look at those decisions, they are tiny decisions that we live by every day, that we could have made a different choice. But just because you are now conscious of it, it's not just in cash, just like you said. And, just like the scripture said that, you know, prosper in health, prosper in your souls, prosper mentally. You understand? $1 million decision by saying, today I draw boundaries. I'm not doing this for this person for free, or I'm just going to take this time for myself. You're already living as a millionaire, at that point. You're already, if just putting yourself in that position already. So I know you've already touched that place, but I just want you to just say a little more about financial belief that involves the spiritual, emotional, and mental, beyond just the math, to say that, oh, now my account balance is um 500 million, or something like, because you can have that 500 million and still be miserable. So I just want us to touch base on that before we move to the stages, the other things that has to do with making money, just as a background.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hope you're still hearing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear
so I will talk about it as holistically, just like I mentioned.
you.
Spiritually, first
Mm,
thing is as as women and as a person, individual, there is a higher force, there is a higher power. We believe in something higher, right? So there is a spiritual aspect of it, right? Which is aligning with God's vision of abundance. Our God is a God of abundance. We have to align with that. And that's where that abundance mindset comes from, right? Our God is a God of abundance. And whenever we align that, we will detach ourselves from that scarcity mentality, right? And we believe that, oh, there is more from where all of this is coming, or there is more from where all of the, talking about those decisions that we make, not wanting to give or hold them back because we think, if I should do this or if I should do this, maybe not, right? But we want to align it with what God's vision for abundance is for us and for our lives. That's first thing. And then emotionally, still going back to the mindset thing, healing from scarcity and shame. When we talk about reinvention, we talk about shame. We don't want to, because a lot of reinventions comes with starting all over again. It could be divorce, and I think I mentioned this. It could be locating from one place to another. It could be and I know you mentioned different type of reinvention. So many, it could be anything, but mostly whenever you look at reinvention, it comes with a kind of shame into it, right? So we have to come out of me starting all over, you starting all over, wherever people are, and they are immigrants starting all over. It comes with shame. It comes with uncertainty. It comes with fear, right? But coming back to the place of what God has said concerning us is healing from that scarcity and shame and saying yes, plugging in and saying, I am wealthy in my emotions. I am wealthy with my mindset. I am wealthy in my in alignment with what God has said. Rediscovering ourselves from within. And that is what true wealth is. That is a holistic part of it. And then what I mentioned before too is adopting that CEO mindset about your money and your future. You cannot, we cannot overemphasize this. Like, right? Because if you are not leading from the front when it comes to your finances, who will? So reinvention in a holistic manner is both mindset, both spiritual, both emotional, both mental, because wealth is a soul alignment process. It's not just making money. I think it's a good quote that we should quote, we
Yeah.
should write down. Wealth
Mm-hmm.
is a soul alignment process. And I
Yeah,
love
it is.
that.
Yeah.
Aligning with your soul
Mm,
holistically, right?
you're right.
So let me
You're
just
right.
start that.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. One thing about reinvention is one major part of reinvention is changing the narrative about yourself. Sitting down to say that now this is who I am right now, while in the process of clarity to say, okay, this is what is happening to me right now, like a self-awareness to say this is where I am. Now, in the next 10, 20 years, do I still want to keep this definition of myself? Or I want to change the narrative to say that now I'm a better person. That's why we're touching every area of our lives, including our finances. To say, is this where I still want? Do I want to still maintain this status quo to say that this is what it should be, or you want to start living from a place of wisdom? And everything you said has been very profound and powerful. Now, I know you mentioned the stages of wealth the other time. But I just want to say that how can someone in transition start afresh? You know, like we said, divorce, relocation, career change, major change in people's lives, like motherhood, things that, like when I had my first baby, for example, I had to stop working. And it took a while before I was able to go back, you know, to start working. So, things like that. And doing it, starting afresh without the shame, like you said, because the devil uses shame as a tool. The devil will use anything to shame you, anything, as long as it's an opportunity for him to use it. So, can you give some tips on, how people can start with little, in a little way from where they are, starting from where they are? That's what I would like to ask now.
All right. So I will share again from my own what I touched on earlier, which is the bedazzled life by design. Because
Yeah.
when you look at the question right now that you ask, which is about the stages of wealth reinvention,
Mm.
and I have 4 Ds in my book, right? So I have a new book. I have 2 books coming out by December by God's
Now,
grace, right?
guys, take
I
note.
started I started expanding the Bedazzled Life by Design. That's why I was just like, this Bedazzled Life by Design deserve a whole book on itself,
Yeah.
right? Because I
Mhm.
talk on it, I touch, in fact, I teach so much. And in fact, let me share a secret with you,
Yeah.
because I designed my own life by God's grace
Mm.
and I redesign it. It's not something. So when it comes to redesign, or when it comes to designing your life, or life design and wealth design and all of that, it's not something that you just do once and you say, yes, I'm done. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
something
yeah.
that you go back to every quarter, every 6 months, every 1 year and say, okay, did I,
Mhm.
is this thing? Because I was sharing something the other time, but I forgot, is when you dream, sometimes your dream, as big as it could be that time, is still small compared to
Mm.
what your mind can receive.
Yeah,
And whatsoever your mind receive and conceive and you believe it, you will achieve it. So
yeah.
every dream, just think about it right now. Like every dream that you have dreamed,
Mm.
there is always a next level to it.
Yeah,
There's
there
always
is.
a higher height or higher level to it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that life that I dream, when I dreamed like, if I could have my dream life, if I could have my
Mm.
dream home, I
Mm.
wanted to have this, I wanted to have this, and I was describing it and I was sharing all of those things in
Mm.
it. And the book that helped me was that book. In fact, it was because I heard the originals by Rachel Rogers, which is Planning Your Year. So
Yeah.
there's Audible, which is original Audible. So
Mm.
I heard that, I listened to it over and over, that I was in a plane traveling. So I've downloaded it on my Audible and I was listening, in fact, like to and fro. And there in the on the plane, I was designing, I was writing out what do I want my life to be in the 12 areas. And she even gave a wildcat where you can put in other areas of your life. So that is my own basis. Or when it comes to Bedazzled Life by Design, I use that
Mm.
template and I started
Mm.
teaching other people about the Bedazzled Life. So what I'm
Wow.
going to talk to you about today is all 4 Ds, right?
Mm.
Discover, design, deploy, and drive.
Mm.
Discover, design, deploy, and drive. So it's not 5 framework, it's 4. I will put it
Before.
that way.
Mm.
And it was
Oh,
because of this is what I have been teaching over and over, and it works. It works for me. It
yeah.
works for numbers, a lot of women, and and we continue to teach that framework as well. So when it comes to the discover phase, in transitioning, This is a phase where you are reclaiming your identity beyond your job title, beyond the
mm,
paycheck, beyond the name you're calling yourself, like a divorce,
mm,
a single
mm,
mom, a mom of
mm,
two,
mm,
a retiree, beyond the
mm,
name that you are calling yourself, beyond your
mm,
paycheck. You are
mm,
discovering yourself. And what
mm,
discovery does is it invites you to step back from the noise. It helps
mm,
to clarify your vision. It helps you
mm,
to realign your value, just like we have been sharing. That's the
mm,
first phase. So think about whatsoever transition from one season to another. It might even be
mm,
welcoming a baby into your life. Now you are
mhm,
no more wife alone. You are
mm,
now a mom,
mom,
right? In fact, you're a mom of a newborn.
mm,
I sorry, sister, but after
mm.
a while, you now become a mom of a
Mom
toddler,
of teenagers.
right? After a while, maybe you have boys, you now become mom
Mhm,
of boys or mom of girls, right?
mm,
And at the point, you'll be like, mom of three. So no matter how whatsoever the transition season is, it gives us an identity. So you have to
yeah.
reclaim what identity do you want to call yourself. So that's the discover
Mm,
phase. And there are so many things that goes into discover phase as well.
mm,
But whenever you know who you are, and then what matter most to you, money money now takes its rightful place. It takes it stand as a tool, but it's never your identity.
mm,
Money is never your identity. It's whatsoever meaning you give to it. So that's the
mm,
discovery phase, right? The second phase is I call the design phase. You are
mm,
translating identity into numbers. You
mm,
want to design the life. You want to
mm,
move it from idea, dream into what
mm,
it is tangible.
mm,
What tangible it is. Right?
mm,
I said that when I dream about my dream home and what I want it to be, the number of rooms, number of toilets, the kind of tiles I want on my highland
mm,
island, the type of rugs. I went into details, even how the surface is going to be in terms of the walls
to
and
feel.
the
Mhm,
details in my head. I don't know where that place is going to be, but what I talked about is this kind of house that will be in this kind of an environment or zip code that
mm,
has number of rooms, like
mm,
5 rooms, 5 bedrooms, four
mm,
beds, that have a yard that is this and that has a lot that is this, and I gave it that specification. Guess what?
mm,
I put it on Google, it gives me how much it is. So
mm,
it's different from my very small 3 bedroom home that I
mm,
have
mhm,
in a small corner in Columbus, right?
mm,
To where it is at the heart of the city in this kind
mm,
of environment. Now I'm thinking
mm,
about, okay, 750,000. Okay, now there is a
mhm.
gap. So
Yeah.
what design does for you is help you translate it from that dream
Mm,
into what the number is,
yeah.
right? So through the 12 domains, which are always,
Mm,
and I thank God that you are in that space where and being a visionary yourself, we talk about domains a lot, which is your
mhm.
health, your life, your home, your relationships, your
Finally.
career, your business, and all of these other things that you want, right? But we have a framework for it. And then
Mm,
there is wildcard, something that is like very, very important to you, which is not in the list that you want
mm,
to take more seriously, right? And so you now take that and you now break it down.
mm.
When I dream about my dream life, I want a chef to come in. How much is
Yeah.
that every month? I
Right.
want my laundry to be done. How much is that every month? Right? I
Mm,
want to have, I want to be eating organic produce. How much is that every month? I want to
mm,
have a driver. How much is that every month? Where you are, right? Or you want to be carrying Uber, or you want to have, maybe take taxi and all of that. How much is that? Maybe you want a certain kind of a car. How much is
mm,
that? So in terms of all of these things, you want to translate your dream into numbers, and then you come up with something called Freedom Day number.
mm,
We talk about this freedom, because where you are right now with your income, let's say for example, you are earning 10,000. And by the time you calculate what those domain is for you, your home, your workspace, your career,
mm,
your
mm,
family,
mm.
maybe you want to be
Mm,
eating out once in every 2 days or 3 days out. You want a chef to come in, you want to have a personal driver, you want somebody to be coming home to come and clean your house, you want to have a babysitter. you calculated all of that in a month, how much it is. Let's say that, for example, it's 30,000. And now you are earning 10,000. There is a gap of 20,000, right? So what I do here as the queen of Fired Up is how do I help you close that gap so that you can be earning at that 30,000? And by the time you now hit that 30,000, you become a different person. Do you see what I mean? You become a different person. So whatsoever you do in between that gap is what wealth is. And as a woman, we have to, and let me tell you something, it's not overnight. It's not that it happens in 1 month or 1 year. Sometimes it might take 3 years. Sometimes it might take 5 years. How do I start to help people retire in their 40s and 50s? It's because we have a roadmap. Where you are right now to where you want to be in the next 5 years, there is a roadmap. So we have to start building block one after another on it. From your investment, from your savings, from every decision. Then diversifying your income. What other streams can you put in here, right? What do you have? What experience do you have right now that is lying dormant? In fact, I started something. I'm going to start something in November. It's called 10K in 30 days challenge. If your people are interested, they can sign up for it. I started announcing it today on LinkedIn. 10K in 30 days. How you can turn your experience, what you have, and don't go and learn a new skill. Don't go and learn any other, what you already have, what you are using your 9 to 5, what you already have, your skill, right? How can you turn it and monetize it? So that is the design so that you can earn that additional money and live the life that you want on your own terms. That is the design phase. Then the third phase is the deploy, where numbers turn into income, right? The phase that you that you move from theory and calculation into actual doing. Then you are making those calls. Then you are designing what's your statement purpose in terms of your business. Then you turn it into, okay, I have this idea. Let's say you have camera. I have a camera. I don't have a camera here, but there is this Sony camera that has just been lying down. I took it to one photographer and I like, oh, can you help me? And you know what? I started learning about photography. Not because I want to be using it to do anything or maybe making money, but at least I can shoot myself. I can be designing, do all of those things and saving money for myself. I have all of the lights, I have all of those things. You know why? Some of us, we have some resources at home that is just lying down there that we can turn into cash. Do you see what I mean? And then sometimes your own skills that you have, you can consult, you can coach, you can train, you can tutor, you can teach, right? You have the gift of God in us. As women, we are multidimensional. We are multi-influential. So use that gift to earn. So you are not more just you are no more just discovering, you discover yourself, you design yourself, you are deploying, now turning that thing into calling people. This is what I do now. In fact, November is coming right now. There's going to be a lot of was it sales and that end of the year sales and all of those things. Some of us as women, we can go and get those things in bulk, buy it, branded it, put it on our own website, have a landing page, put it there, earrings, sell you. There is so many things we whatsoever your interest is that you can turn to cash, right? And it's just like what you mentioned the other time, boundaries with your time. When you say to yourself that I want to have extra 2 3 hours, we train people how to get extra 20 hours in a week, extra 10 hours in a week, so that you can focus on what is very important to you, and then you earn extra cash, right? So turn those extra time that you were gisting or you're sleeping too much or whatsoever, and then turn it to your business and begin to craft your business in a way that you will start to earn. So now you move from deploy then to go to drive, which is the rhythm that sustains freedom. That's the consistency, right? You cannot set up a 30, 60, 90 days execution plan for yourself. We'll talk about the wellness check, whether every week you're looking at your money, and the drive is more around your personal operating rule, right? You want to really embed and put in, lock in, have a system of wealth building habit, right? So you can drive you can put that drive, what you already have, and turn it into design, and then turn it into a destiny that goes through, that compounds. So what the drive is is really inter uh bring all the process together and then do it all over again, right? Do it all over again and then continue to master because compounding, all this action you do compounds faster. So true wealth requires money with meaning. You have to
mm,
integrate it, integrate your faith, your value into it, what your dream is, how much, what you want to achieve, right? And then turn it into tangible things so that you can. So what that is what I will, the long answer of this question is
mm,
you want to be aware, right?
mm,
So you are
mm.
aware, you discover, then you design it, then you deploy it, and then you continuously maintain it so that you are now multiplying that growth or the income.
Thank you so much. I really wanted you to talk about, the having a dream amount, like itemizing those things, you understand, and saying, oh, I want a babysitter. I would like to have a driver. This is the amount, and this is how I get there. Thank you so much. So this question is that it has to do with habits. Can you tell us some of the habits that we can, start to imbibe? You understand that we can start to imbibe now that will really help us, you know, to take us to that place, to take us to that dream place that we want to be. Those financial habits that women can start to, pick up right now and start imbibing.
All right. So before we pick an habit, we have to know why we are doing what we are doing or why we want to do what we want to do. So the first thing is first the goal. What goal are we trying to achieve first? Right? Because for every goal requires different habit. If I want to save more, right? If I want to save more, how do I um, cultivate that saving habit? If I want to save more, how do I cultivate saving habits? First thing is we want to automate our stuff, automate the savings. So that is an habit, automation, right? You set up a you set it up on your banking app or you call your bank about around please every 2 weeks can you be putting this amount in this savings account and they will help you do that logic. I forgot the name for it. um that instructions and
ACH,
then say that again.
the ACH recurring payment.
Yes, recurring, yes. And
Mhm.
then once you set it there, that's a habit. And then one thing that I'm teaching my own children in terms of savings, and it comes about because you asked that question, is this, and that's what I'm using as well. But sometimes, of course, depending on what I want to do, I have a formula for it, right? 70-20-10, 70-20-10. That's what I teach my kids, right? And I know for me, just like I said, it depends. I can do 60-30-20 sometimes, right? But 70% goes to your expenses, 20% goes to savings, 10% goes to God. Do you see? So once you have that as as this is what you do. Sometimes in my life, when we are talking about financial independent, retire early, it could be reversed. You could be saving 70% and be spending only 20%. And that is where it comes like, okay, 20% cannot be enough for me. How can I make additional money? And whenever you're making the additional money, you are still going to do the same. You're still going to be saving a larger percentage of it. Keep the small amount, right? And then give God what belongs to God. So the same thing. So the first thing is saving a habit. There is no two way about it. For you to enter into wealth, right? Literally, apart from money winning and all of those other things, how can you build that habit? Literally, that you can see the numbers because the empowerment actually comes from when you have that money and you have a choice. You have a choice because the most painful thing for me, and I know for every woman, is for you to see something you love it is in your heart and you are incapacitated to provide money or to get that thing because you do not have money. It's very painful to me, and that's why sometimes I don't go for window shopping because I cannot see and not buy. right? And some people, for them to break out of uh that spending habit is for them not to go out and not to see at all. Me, I don't even want to see. And of course, it's not because if I see I don't, but I don't want to put myself into that stress of and I see this thing I couldn't buy it, right? So we have to flip that script about savings. First, we automate it. Then second is for us to like now from savings to investing. How do we want to multiply that money? And then that is where empowerment comes into play. That is where financial competency comes into play because you have to be intentional about this is what I want to where my money to, this is where I want my money to go. So many of us we earn so much, we do 2 jobs, 3 jobs, but we don't know where that money is going apart from the normal essential of life, which is the shelter, the food, and clothing. Every other thing we don't know how it's going, right? But we want to give every dollar, every naira, every currency, give it a name, give it work to do. So that the one that is going to expenses is going to expenses, the one that is going to savings is going to savings. And remember, savings investment is not investment until or savings is not an investment because savings, the true definition of saving is just money lying down or money laying down or lying down idle waiting for the time to be spent. That is what savings is. It's just lying down there until that time comes that you're like, okay, do Zelle, send it, Zelle, that is it. But the true investment is that you put that savings into a vehicle that is multiplying for you. You put it there $1 today, and in 10 days you go there is 1.5. That is a true investment, no matter how small it is. But savings is just money that is staying there until you put it to work. So that's another habit that I want us to get empowered in terms of the knowledge of what you need to put your money. There are so many vehicles, so many vehicles. I talk about, and because of all the regulations and compliance, we, as a financial professional, you're not even expected to say that this is what you should do or this is where you should put your money in. We give general education, we train people, but it is left for individuals to still say that this is what I decide or this is where I'm putting my money into. But you can put it in crypto, you can put it in shares, you can put it in real estate, you can put it inside life insurance. Life insurance is another good one. I know if it's okay, I can say it here as well. There is an account where is investment. When you put your money into it, it has a guarantee and it grows faster, right? And by the time you say, okay, 10-year strategy, you go back there, your money has double, or if not double, but has like increased 60%, 70%, and you don't pay taxes on it, right? So there are some and it's like that in anywhere you are, wherever you are geographically, because I'm just talking because of based on where I am in US. In Canada, they have, in Australia, they have, in UK, they have different vehicles like that where you can put in money and it can grow. So savings habit, investment habit, and mindset. Mindset, how can we do that? We have to read books. That one is something that I want to like leave with you, everyone. There is no shortcut to it. You have to be able to invest, plug yourself in communities that they talk about what you want to hear, which is money. Put yourself in those community. Those are habits. And then when you are there, you are like, okay, you are reading. Some of us, you can subscribe to forums, you can subscribe um, to some community, to some newsletters as well. And then other thing that I do is I listen to podcasts, and which is going to be a good habit for everyone for you to like start today. Go to YouTube, things about money. But the only problem I have with YouTube is there is a lot of noise there. You don't know who is saying what, right? So podcast might be a good place, maybe Audible, like Lady Toby said, the lady, what's her name? Rachel Rogers. She has good podcasts. She has good resources, and there are a few people like that that I can recommend that you can start to listen to them. It's going to change your perspective, right? So that's it. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. That really, really helps. I mean, this has been so informative. Like so many moments of light bulb moments. I'm really, really grateful for sharing this. This is so So I wish we could continue. I mean, it's a lot. I have a lot of questions, even more than the ones I sent to you initially. I mean, this is so beautiful. And this is to also tell all of us that, there is a depth of knowledge if you really want to learn. And we have no excuse at this point to get valuable information for, the things that we want to do in our life, living our lives intentionally, to say that this is what I want to do and staying by. Everybody needs a financial education. I keep saying it. Everybody needs financial. And one thing, like you said, is that there's a lot of noise on YouTube. Like you see a lot of information and all that. But if you have an opportunity to have, people around you that you can streamline what you really need and then focus on it, you will get so much information on the next step, the things that you need to do. Thank you so much, Omolola. It's been so great and beautiful to have you here today. Thank you. I want to say hi to everybody that has joined us. Thank you so much for joining us today. I said last week that there is an announcement, and I'm going to go ahead and make that announcement now. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can pin myself. Uh, all right. So we were talking last week that we're opening up our community for people to join, and part of the things that part of the reasons why we have this community is something it's about this topic that we've discussed today. We have opportunity to really learn these things in details. We have program structure, structure to really improve different areas of our lives. And this is to officially invite us to say that on the 15th of November, we're going to be having the official launch of River Nexus, and it's going to be virtual. And I want to send all of us as messengers, to invite people, especially women in our lives, to come and join this community because, God has great things for us. And nobody has an excuse. I mean, after this, you have no excuse because the things that will start to come, the level of light that will start to share, from the coming together, so that we can do this together, to grow together, and change the trajectory of your life. It's not really easy to do some of these things alone. I mean, you can easily get discouraged. So, so on the 15th of November, we're going to be more information will come out, but it will be good for us to start scanning the QR code, start sending out the information for us to register, and we're off to a great start on the 15th of November. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you, everyone. The link to get a replay of this is on the chat room for you to catch your replays, and you of course get the emails like we always send it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Omolola, for pouring into us. Please, all of us, I want you to shout out to Omolola from the chat to say thank you so much for pouring into us today. It's been a great, exciting, and educative time. Thank you. And to everyone, thank you for joining today. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. See you later. See you next week. Thank you. Bye.